thought. I mean, 60 years I've been actually suffering. I've not really had this life. So I think I didn't know hell is going to be like this. I always thought hell is something, where devils and, you had cobwebs, and that's what I was imagining of hell. But this place is totally different. So then decided, okay, I think I prefer going to hell. But anyway, let me have a look at heaven, he said. And then he was taken to heaven. So there he went, he saw these angels, all in white, all the men, so peaceful, quiet, calm, scenic, the climate was fantastic. So he said, no, but I think I've had enough of this in my time. So, but I think I need to go back to, I think hell is a better place. So he goes to God and says, God, I think I'll go to hell. I think I prefer to go to hell. So then God says, okay, you're sure you want to go to hell? He says, yes, I'm very sure. And then God takes this retired HR director down to hell. And then when he enters the corridors of hell, he finds everything. He sees alligators, he sees a lot of things. The whole place looked different. Then he rushes back. He says, what is this, God? He sees all those devils there, gets scared, he comes back. God, what is this? You showed me something different, and now I see something different. Then God tells him, as an HR manager and an HR director, how many of the new recruits you have promised them the moon, and then when they join the organization, they are ahead. So that is actually the role of an HR manager. Do you see this leopard? You see something different on the skin? Yes. So I think that is what the HR manager's role becomes, especially when it comes to change. So organizational change, if we had to define it, is the process of developing a planned approach to change in an organization. So this would be the definition. When you say change, what do you hear? That's waste of time. Why change? Everything is working fine. They never tell us what's going on. How soon will this happen? How will this impact me? What is in it for me? I doubt they are really serious about this. These are things happen, especially when there is a merger, there is an acquisition, anything which happens. This is what people think, because the initial reaction is to resist. So when you look at it, why resistance? What are the issues? Basically, it is insecurity, it is uncertainty, and it's an issue of adaptation when there is change. So it becomes, how do I cope with it? Who are they? How are they? Uncertainty in terms of, will I survive in this new organization? Will I serve? There are these old guys, there could be bias, there could be, this is what they think. Who's in control? Is it going to be my boss now, or it's going to be the boss from that company? And finally, adaptation, which it says, how do I succeed there? Is this new better than the old? Is what they start tending to think. So this is what actually runs in the mind of individuals when there is change. So this is a slide which talks in terms of the framework. Let me be very, very short. It talks about culture primarily because that is important. Alan and Mr. Rao have spoken in length in terms of this slide, where it talks about culture, where you need to confirm to, in any merger acquisition, you need to actually confirm to the vision, values and mission. So basically the organization, in terms of how the new organization is going to be, in terms of the structure, in terms of the role, decision making and things like that. Then the leadership, I was talking about leadership, how different is going to be the leadership. And people capability, because actually you need to map two organizations. So in case of compatibility, capability, competencies is something which you need to understand. And then the execution, because the migration plans which was spoken in length. And then in terms of continuous improvement, you need to actually make sure this organization, the changed organization actually comes together and they work towards continuously improving. So that is when you need to have a strong performance management system, you need to have your rewards aligned to compensation, things like that. So primarily, and then this is what would actually bring an effective organization after change. So yes, why change? And how change? Why do you need change? Basically, in organizations what happens is, When there is a change in the corporate management, there is change. I mean, if there is an acquisition, if there is a venture capitalist who's taking over the company, if there is a merger, there is change. Then there is budget constraints. The company hasn't done well, so the board decides that they need to restructure. The plans are different, so that's when they change. Technology, changing every day, brings about change. Growth, yes, companies like Reliance, we have rapid growth. So change here becomes totally different, which I'll talk about in a short while from now. Vendor products, primarily, which means in terms of competition, you need to live up to competition. Business strategy I spoke about. Standards, yes, we need the best quality standards, so we actually look at what can we bring best to the organization, so that side's change. And finally, the most important thing, the customer. The customer is always changing, his needs are changing, his perception is changing, so the organization also needs to change to those requirements. So yes, what we spoke about mergers and acquisitions in length. I, like Susan said, would dwell upon downsizing because of my experiences in the past. Mergers and acquisitions